Hey guys, what's up? It's Chris with Invictus Cockpit Systems. I hope you guys had a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I know I sure did, but it's time to get back to work, and I'm finally in the studio for 2026. My New Year's resolution is to do better at bringing you guys helpful videos on YouTube about cockpits, and we're going to start today. First things up, the Invictus Viper Force Transducer, the sensor-only version. Now, I chose this to do this video first because it's a little tricky, and I wanted to show you guys how to set it up so that you can, have the most enjoyment out of it possible. But it's built in an economical way so that I can keep the price under $300, and that's why it's a little tricky to set up. But I want to make sure you fully understand how to do it so you guys can. Did I just repeat myself? I did just repeat myself. Anyway, we're going to do this. So let's get into it, as all YouTube creators on earth say. All right, this is the Viper Force Transducer. The 6-pin cable goes to the left, the 5-pin cable goes to the right on the board. You're going to feed it through your stick base here. Then you're going to throw in some 440 screws. If you decide to go with larger screws like M3s or 632 or whatever, you may have to drill out the holes. If you do, just be careful. Don't damage the strain gauges. Your warranty doesn't cover you drilling holes in it. Remember to use a star pattern when you put all these screws in. That will give you the best result. Tighten it down. And then we're going to torque it to 9 inch-pounds of torque if you're setting it in aluminum. When you install your grip, you're going to start screwing it in and just let it fall into place. Do not force it down. You can damage the connectors that way. Just slowly screw it, work it back and forth until you feel it just kind of fall in perfectly, and you're good to go. Once that happens, you're going to see some brass screws facing forward there. You're going to take your screwdriver and you're going to adjust those to center the device. And you'll see in just a second what I mean by that. All right, so you can see the device is off center. We're going to turn those screws until we pull it back to center. Now, right now, I don't have deadband turned on. That allows it to jitter at the center a little bit. That lets you know that you are exactly or very close to center. It's not going to be exact. You can't possibly do it with strain gauges. It's just not possible. They're too sensitive to get it perfectly on zero. But as long as you're within 100 or so, 200 or so of ADC counts of zero, plus or minus, you're good to go. You'll never see the jet respond to anything that small. All right, once you get to zero, you're going to add a deadband of somewhere between 10 and 15. I like 12. Write it to device or write device settings. I changed the name of that button. And then you see that makes it snap to zero, good to go here. Now, once you get it installed and you start wiggling it around and moving it, you may notice a shift in the center position. That's just settling, no problem. You just need to readjust it. Make sure all the buttons work, good to go there. Put the device through its paces. Give it some strain. Until you set the force values, you don't want to try to force it all the way to the ends. That can cause you some problems and may bend your plate if you're using too much force. You don't want to do that. You can see how this one is shifted slightly. You can see the ADC counts on the raw value there by pressing Shift and D has shifted by a couple thousand on this one. So we're going to want to recenter that and bring that raw value back to center. Now, when you turn on developer mode by pressing Shift and D, you're going to see 2 bars per axis. The green is the output, so that's what your sim sees. The gray is the raw value. and they'll match up at first, but once you start setting force values, they will not. All right, so you can see how the raw value has shifted. You're going to bring that back to 0. Now that we have a deadband on, the green will snap to 0 sooner, but that is not what you use to judge it. You want the raw value when you have a deadband on so that you can actually be sure that you're close to 0. Just get those two balanced close to 0. You may have to do this a couple times. It's kind of a pain, but there's no way around it. I could build the sensor for about $100 more if you wanted, and then you wouldn't have this issue. But the whole purpose of this one is economy. So it's just something you got to get used to. And once you get it fully set, you should be good to go for a while. And some things about strain gauges, they're very sensitive to environment, things like heat and moisture in the air. It can pick up all of that. All right, so what you're doing here is you're going to click between analog and digital. That's going to pull in your force anchors and set your force appropriately. Look, there's no shame in switching to 75% force or 50% force. Trying to pull 25 or 30 pounds is tough, and doing it for an extended period of time, there's really no benefit. Make it more comfortable in yourself and shift it down. As you can see here, the center is shifting again. It's all part of settling and getting, as you put it through its paces. You just got to go back in. You got to turn the screw. You got to get it to center. Now, if you're noticing it shift back and forth, let's say it's shifting 700 or 800, 900 ADC counts, just find the middle and put the center there. It's really simple. One thing you really want to make sure you do, though, is the force values on the top and bottom are not the same. Like roll left, roll right, or pitch up, pitch down. They're not going to be the same. So you're always going to want to check the center box to the right there and write in 0 there. It should do it automatically in the software, but if it doesn't, and you're having this weird shifting of axis, that's the problem. There you can check make sure your firmware is up to date. All that's good. It is. Rock and roll, time to fly. Thanks so much. Enjoy.